Alright, ready for our Death Valley trip? Alright, made it to Inyo Mine. Work for the Inyo Mine started in January of 1906, but it wasn't until 1907 when work began in earnest. There are 3 shafts exploring for ore at depths of 100, 73, and 30 feet, respectively. Like many other mines in the Echo Lee District mines, the Inyo Mine had been fatally crippled by the Panic of 1907. And development work virtually ceased through 1908. The claims to the mine later changed hands for the next decades. The mine was operational in the 1930s, but by the 1940s, all operation has ceased. Made it to the dry waterfall. Debating if I should take a chance at it with the FJ40. This part doesn't look too bad, but I think this is gonna be the tough part right here.
keep it on. Alright, got my sister as my companion. Let's see how this works out.
Yeah. Now go down. There you go. All the way. This way. Yep, that's it. Just go. No, he's all the way this way. Yeah, that's it. There it is.
Oh man. That was fun. San Francisco businessman William T. Coleman built this plant in 1882 to refine the cotton ball borax found on the nearby salt flats. The high cost of transportation made it necessary to refine borax here rather than carry both borax and waste to the railroad 165 miles across the desert. White gold. Though steeped in legend, the frenzied search for gold and other metals in Death Valley produced few fortunes. Borax, the white gold of the desert, ranks as the valley's most profitable mineral. A 20-mule team at the Harmony Borax Works is pictured here. Borates, salt minerals, were deposited in ancient lake beds that uplifted and eroded into yellow Furnace Creek badlands. Water dissolved the borates and carried them to the Death Valley floor, where they crystallized as borax. Borax blacksmiths have used it, as have potters, dairy farmers, housewives, meat packers, and even morticians. For centuries, humans have exploited borax for many important uses. Workers refine borax by separating the mineral from unwanted mud and salt, a simple but time-consuming process. 1892 photo shows what living at the Harmony was like. The company village is on the left. For more than a century, the 20-mule team has been the symbol of the borax industry. On product labels, in history books, and on television. The status is well earned. Mule teams help solve the most difficult task that faced Death Valley borax operators, getting the product to market. Welcome to Rhyolite. Gold was discovered in this area in 1904. Several mining camps quickly grew around the discoveries. The town of Rhyolite was founded in 1905 and became the city of dreams, dreams of gold, prosperity, greed, and speculation. By 1906, Rhyolite was turning into a modern town with indoor plumbing, electricity, and other luxuries. However, the dream was short-lived. The mines began to fail, and by 1910, people were leaving and the mines were closing. Today is payday at the mines, and if you want to stay around, you will undoubtedly hear the bodily music that pierces the silence of the night air, the hard laughter of the girls, and the rowdy voices of the miners. The Las Vegas and Tonopah Railroad Depot was completed in June 1908, around the same time that Rhyolite began its slow decline. Within months of its completion, more people were leaving Rhyolite through the depot than were arriving. The railroad turned a small profit in 1908 but lost money every following year until it was finally dismantled in 1919. The tracks were salvaged, but the depot was left to stand as one of the few remaining buildings from the Rhyolite boom, primarily because it could not be moved elsewhere. The Cook Bank is the most iconic building in Rhyolite and one of the most photographed ruins in Nevada. John Cook and his brother started the John S. Cook and Company Bank in Goldfield, Nevada in January 1905. Later the same year, they opened a new branch in Rhyolite. The bank's first location was in a rented building on Main Street. After buying this lot on Golden Street, construction of the Cook Bank building began in the spring of 1907. One of the four banks in Rhyolite, the Cook Bank building was by far the finest. Built of poured concrete, the building was 3 stories tall and had a basement that housed the post office. The interior was finished with marble staircases and mahogany accents. It also boasted modern conveniences such as electric lights and indoor plumbing. Despite its opulence, the Cook Bank was open less than 2 years. In the summer and fall of 1907, a financial crisis, often referred to as the kickboxer crisis, caused banks across the country to go bankrupt. By 1910, the Cook Bank was closed and John Cook had sold off all the building's fixtures. Since the closure of the Cook Bank, the building has appeared in many movies. Like many merchants of the time, the Porter brothers, Hiram and Lyman, moved from mining camp to mining camp following the reports of booms and strikes. In 1902, they opened a painting business in San Francisco. Following the rich gold strikes in Southern California, they opened mercantiles in Johannesburg, Ballarat, near Death Valley, Beatty, and of course this one in Rhyolite. Originally, the brothers bought a lot on Main Street in 1905 and operated out of a canvas tent, but they soon ran out of room. They then bought a second lot on Golden Street, next to many of Rhyolite's important commercial buildings. Construction of their new building began in 1906. It used local stone and took 4 months at a cost of $10,000. Before moving their operations from Main to Golden, they threw a huge 3-day sale and held a public dance, complete with an orchestra, in the newly finished Golden Street building. The Porter Brothers store was very popular. In 1906, it was the go-to destination for Christmas shopping. This was due in part to the amazing displays that rivaled those of department stores in major cities. In fact, the store was the largest employer of people in Rhyolite aside from the mines. Unfortunately, even the popular store was not immune to the downturn that would decimate Rhyolite's businesses. It closed in 1910. Hiram, however, would stay in Rhyolite for the next 9 years, serving as the town's postmaster until the post office was closed on September 15, 1919. This is the second schoolhouse built in Rhyolite. The first was a small wooden building that was built on 2 lots that had been donated expressly for the purpose. In February 1906, the first schoolhouse opened with 26 students. 1 month later, there were 46. By October, there were 74 students and 1 teacher. The student body grew rapidly as families streamed into the growing town. 1 year later, after opening, 225 additional students were enrolled. Understandably, the teacher was said to have a nervous breakdown from the number of students packed into the original schoolhouse. The Tom Kelly Bottle House is one of the few remaining examples of bottle house architecture in the United States. In Nevada, where wood is scarce and expensive, miners often built their houses with whatever was cheap and readily available. In many cases, glass bottles fit the bill. The bottles would be used like bricks and mortared in with adobe. The bottle houses are great in hot climates because they are cool in the summer and hold heat in the winter, and allow for natural light. This bottle house was built in 1906 by Tom Kelly, an Australian-born stonemason turned gold miner, using over 50,000 bottles. Kelly paid local children 10 cents for a wheelbarrow full of bottles, about $3 in 2021. Good fortune inspired the name King of the Desert, coined for the King Wonder Mine by the Rhyolite Herald in 1911. The mine was discovered by Jack Keane and Domingo Echeran in 1904. Producing over $1 million in gold in 1904 and 1917, the mine shared the distinction of being profitable with mines in Skidoo and Rhyolite. Gold from the Keene Wonder Mine returned as coins to pay for its employees. Wanting to capitalize on their good fortune, Keene and Echeran sold their interest in the mine in 1907. Subsequent owners developed a 20-stamp processing mill housing an ice plant and spectacular mile-long aerial tramway. The advantage of moving the ore down the mountain by tram and to tunnel horizontally into the mountain rather than sinking shafts allowed the mine to operate with good profit margin. Unlike most Death Valley mines, the Keene Wonder Mine lived up to the name King of the Desert. Mosaic Canyon is a geological art gallery. Irregularly shaped fragments of Tanton, Colorado noonday dolomite, sandy matrix, and limey cement create complex murals on the canyon walls. In other places, dolomite transformed into marble by heat and pressure forms colorful swirls in stream-polished whirlpools and shoots in the bedrock. The geological history of the Mosaic Canyon is a succession of fill and score cycles. Major flash floods fill the canyon with up to 20 feet or more of gravel every couple of decades, often blocking easy passage with large boulders. Less intense storms slowly score the canyon again, removing the earlier deposits. The remains of iron railings and steps installed at the first narrows serve as a reminder of a filled canyon only a few decades ago. Hiking up the canyon is a visual and intellectual treat. The canyon itself offers evidence of past floods and serves as a vivid reminder of the enormous power of water. Gold from the Eureka Mine sustained Pete Augueberry for 40 years. Historians estimate that Augueberry extracted about $175,000 worth of gold, then valued at $20 per ounce, from the Providence Ridge during his lifetime. On the hillside is the Cashier Mill, built in 1909. Powered by a gasoline engine, the mill pulverized the ore, then chemical process using mercury and cyanide extracted the gold. The mill site and surrounding mines were originally part of the Shorty Harris claims, which were sold to the Cashier Mining Company. Augueberry later bought the mill site, adding to the 7 Death Valley mining claims he already owned. The Travertine Quarry. Here, slabs of nicely layered travertine were cut and split into convenient sizes for shipping. They were then transported by truck and rail to Los Angeles, where they were used in construction of the Pacific Coast Borax building on Chateau Place.